وعلى وعلى أصحابه أجمعين. Respected listeners, beloved listeners of Ramadan Radio 87.9 FM. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guess who's back? Yes, it's me, Irfan Murajani, welcoming you wholeheartedly to the heart of Leicester City in the Ramadan FM studio for the Community Takeover show. Folks, I am absolutely gassed to be back in the studio. It's the first time in 2 years back in the studio, and I can't believe we've come around to Ramadan again. It's Saturday the 17th of April. The sun is shining. And Alhamdulillah, life seems to be getting back to normal, or at least we're trying to get back to normal. So let's keep it going. I hope you're all well. I hope your Ramadan has got off to a great start. It is the fifth Roza or the fourth Roza, depending on when you started. And I hope you've had the opportunity to make lots of dua and show gratitude to our beloved Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is our cherisher, our nourisher and sustainer. And we send, of course, countless and endless greetings to the master of mankind, the best of creation. He is, of course, Muhammad Mustafa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Folks, welcome to the Community Takeover show. This is going to be an hour every Saturday, inshallah al-Aziz, whereby we invite people from various communities within Leicester, from around the world, and we ask them what it's like to be from that community, and we talk about the community, what it means to them, a bit of sort of a light-hearted take on that community, but also giving others the opportunity to learn about that community, and that's really, really important. And being in Leicester, alhamdulillah, we are seen as a model for the rest of the country in terms of our diversity and how we embrace multiculturalism. And it's fantastic sitting here just off the edge of Evington Road, and the sun is shining, and I can see all these lovely decorations for Ramadan. And I think it's the first time this year that Evington Road has been decorated with Ramadan decorations. Usually it used to be St. Peter's Road and the Highfields area. So Evington Road, I think, has sort of taken over that mantle of being the Muslim go-to spot in the city. Of course, we've got many food outlets here, lots of shops and lots of trade and commercial activity, and we've got a very, very vibrant Muslim community. So welcome to the program. Share it. We're on 87.9 FM, and I want to hear from you today, folks. So if you've got your mobile phone, give me a text on 077 488 55055. If you want to email me, info@ramadan.fm, or if you fancy giving me a call, by all means, 0116 482 2086, www.ramadan.fm if you want to listen online. If you're listening in Leicester, give us a shout out. If you're listening elsewhere, also give us a shout out. And we've got Akil in the studio ready. He's ready. His hand is on that button waiting to take calls. So brilliant. I'm so excited, so happy to be back here. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it this year because, alhamdulillah, I actually got COVID at the end of November, which was horrible, and I'm still sort of not back to match fit, as one of my guests would say. So I'm getting there now. But listen, welcome. So delighted that you're listening and you're taking your time out to tune in. Right. So you're probably thinking, which community are we going to shine the spotlight on today? But before I do that, I want to say a very, very big special thank you to all of the staff and the volunteers at Ramadan.fm. They do a fantastic job. It's not an easy job for those of us who understand how it works and how it's put together. Everyone plays a massive part in the contribution, and I just want to say thank you so much, Jazakumullah khairan, for everything that you do. I think Ramadan FM is probably one of the highlights for us here during Ramadan, because it gives us a lot of information, a lot of education, spiritual nourishment, and a bit of entertainment as well. So let's crack on. I've got two wonderful guests joining me today. One is here in the studio and the other is online via Zoom. And today's community is the famous Gujarati community. So yes, we are going to be talking all things Gujarati, learning a bit more about the community here in Leicester, learning a bit more about their culture, their food, what it means to be a Gujarati, and all those good things. But before we introduce the guest, let's just give you a bit of background on Gujarat. So Gujarat is the fifth largest state in India. and it has a population of 60.4 million. So that's almost the population of the UK, the United Kingdom. So that's, very, very densely populated. India as a whole, I think, is the second largest populated country in the world. The capital of Gujarat is a place called Gandhinagar. I think that's where Mahatma Gandhi came from. The current Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, is a Gujarati as well. And the largest city in Gujarat is Ahmedabad. And that should give you a clue of what the name of one of our guests, Ahmedabad. So yeah, just hold on to that for a minute. And Gujarat, as a state, as a province, its birthday is coming up. So it came official as a state on the 1st of May, 1960. So 1st of May 2021, it will turn 61 years old. So it should be drawing its pension very soon. There we go. So without further ado, let's have our first guest today. So in the studio, I have, he is, very well known to most of the people in us. It is, of course, Ahmed Maravia from CFA. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed.
Walaikum salam, Irfan.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, not bad.
Brilliant. Very well. Thank you so much for joining us. It's lovely to see you. You're looking very, very slick and dapper, might I add.
Always a pleasure to
it's you've kind of lifted me and inspired me as well. And joining me on Zoom is Sister Habeebah Patel. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Habeebah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I'm really pleased to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today and talk about Gujarati. I know you need to dash off early, so we'll start with you if that's okay, Habeebah. So for those of us who don't know much about Gujarati, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself in terms of where you hail from originally in Gujarat and if, how long sort of your family have been here and if you've had the chance to visit Gujarat sort of during your lifetime.
Okay. So my parents came over in, I'd say, mid-60s, early 60s. I've never had the chance to visit India, unfortunately. It's always been on the plan, but it hasn't happened yet. It's something that I do hope to do. But yeah, we grew up speaking Gujarati, like most children of first-generation Gujarati people did. And I tried to, I brought my children up speaking Gujarati as well, which so most people in this day and age found very, very strange. They'd get really, when we were out and about and my kids would speak Gujarati, they'd be really, like a surprise that, oh, wow, your children still speak Gujarati, which I was proud of. I still am, but unfortunately, that's become quite less as they've grown up.
Yes, I can imagine that as well.
Continue. But yes, I'm not sure if I'm the ideal guest. I've been pulled in at the last minute, but I am Gujarati. I'm from a part of in Gujarat, Surat.
Okay, so you're a Surati then, as is commonly known.
Surati.
Yes.
Yes. My parents come from a village called Manikpur. So,
okay.
And my in-laws, they're from India as well, but they migrated to Africa and came over from Africa to the UK. So that's kind of the differences between my side of the family and my husband's side of the family. And I realized those differences once I did get married into my husband's family, how I feel that people who came over from Africa don't have that much of a connection to India as those that came directly from India.
That's a really interesting point you make.
I hope I haven't pulled out a worm out of the box there, a worm out of the can there by saying that, but that is something that I do feel the difference between people who have come directly from India to the UK or have come from via Africa to the UK.
No, thank you. And that's something I'd like to touch on later on in the program if we get a chance to, because there is, I think, some nuances. I don't want to say differences, but some nuances between the Indians who came here from Africa, and, who have a traditional background from Gujarat, like myself. My parents are East African, but I'm not. I am Gujarati, but I'm Kutchi, so I'll touch on that a bit later on. But that's really, really interesting. And that point you made about our children, or you speaking Gujarati, and then our children speaking Gujarati as well. I think that is one of the. We should give ourselves a big pat on the back for maintaining that link to the language, because I know as well, growing up, a lot of my Gujarati friends, whether they were Muslim or non-Muslim, were very, very fluent in their mother tongue.
Yes, I work in a sixth form college, and I've been doing college interviews at the moment over Teams, and Unfortunately, this week I was interviewing some students, and I was really impressed with one girl that I interviewed. She's 16, and her parents have taught her not only to speak Gujarati but to read and write Gujarati. And at the age of 9, she did her Gujarati GCSE, and she actually now teaches young children Gujarati.
Wow.
And I thought, I said to her, "Wow, I can speak it, but I can't read and write it." That's something that. When my sister-in-law came over, I remember as a young girl, I must have been about 5 or 6, and my sister-in-law came over from India, and she tried to teach us to read and write Gujarati, but it just never clicked on. It's something that it was just so confusing, the letters and the writing.
Yes. I remember as well going to school here in Leicester. So I was at Judge Meadow between the late 80s and the mid 90s, and a lot of my Hindu friends, they would attend Gujarati class, and again, they were encouraged by their families, by the community to read, write, and to speak Gujarati fluently. But I never saw that sort of amongst my Muslim Gujarati speaking friends. But also, there were, again, nuances in the type of Gujarati spoken between certain, depending on, I suppose, where you hailed from in Gujarat. Your Gujarati had a dialect, a bit like how we have different accents here. So, Habeebah, just if you don't mind me asking, what is it that you do?
Oh, so I work in a sixth form college in the city centre. So I work with 16, 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds. I work as a pastoral admin.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, great stuff. And yeah, so again, I've been doing a bit of research on Gujarat before I came into the studio. And Leicester is, I think, probably the most densely populated in terms of Gujarati community, because here, obviously, in the early 70s, we had the influx of Ugandan immigrants, and a lot of them were, again, Gujarati-speaking East Africans that hailed from Gujarat. And what I love about Leicester here, and what a lot of my friends who don't live in Leicester say, we do great Gujarati food here in Leicester. You know, we've got a whole host of these. And again, why are we always talking about food in Ramadan? What's wrong with it? But just, you know, again, you said, you know, your parents came from East Africa. Growing up, what were you exposed to in terms of culinary tastes and cultural influences that you've kept sort of up until now?
So is that for me?
Yeah, that's for you, Habeebah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so no, my parents came over from directly from India. It's my in-laws that came over from Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, so growing up, we had very traditional Indian food growing up, you know, roti, the tarkari, the rice every day. And being in primary school, I remember we'd come home for lunch every day, and my mom would have, you know, like cooked food every day at lunch, you know, rice every day at lunch, and in the evening we'd have roti and tarkari. Mondays we'd get fresh fish, so she'd make fish and chips on a Monday, or masala fish.
Nice.
That's a childhood memory that I can't erase out of my mind, because my friends used to love my mom's fish and chips as well. So that was something like where she delved into British food. I think as we grew older and as we developed British traits, you could say, and you know, so she'd try and as we got older, we learned how to make British dishes, other British dishes, and my mom was one who would always try everything. So she'd try, you know, like pies or pasta as well, which isn't British, is actually Italian, but we have it quite a bit here. So she's one to try things that she would try, but my dad would always need his Indian food. So if we made something which wasn't Indian, we would have to make something for Dad. So, you know, and I think as growing up now with our children, I mean, my mother-in-law says to me as well, quite a bit as well, that how much we've evolved, where we've become kind of like, our children, they like more of the more British food, especially my youngest. You know, if I were to make roti and tarkari. So he'll have it, but he prefers the British food more. I think, and that's something our own fault. Is it because it's British food is local food is more easier to make? We're not having to go to the trouble of making the chapatis with the tarkari, and where the English food you just put everything together and put it into the oven, makes less mess as well. So I think it's become more easier because of our lifestyles as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think our sisters, our mothers, and Muslim women in general here have a far more active lifestyle, I think, compared to traditional Indian wives back from Gujarat. Most of them were, for want of a better phrase, housewives or homemakers. So therefore, a lot of their responsibilities and their focus was, maintaining a home, raising the children, and also making sure that there was freshly cooked food on the table.
Every day, twice a day.
Yes, every day, and that in itself is a very demanding task. But for those of you who are listening and you're not Gujarati, just to sort of clarify, roti is chapati, what we know and understand, and tarkari is that curry? Is that right? Yeah. Okay,
yes.
So I just want to make sure that our non-Gujarati speaking listeners understand. So roti is chapati and tarkari is curry, and again different types of curry. Meat, chicken, fish, vegetable, lentils, all that good stuff. So Jazakallah for that, Habeebah. I'm going to just ask Ahmed to come in now. So welcome to the program, Ahmed. Again, like Habeebah, if you can just talk about your family history and your personal history, that would be fantastic.
Well, parents came back in the mid-60s from Gujarat, a place called Lachbord, which is in between Navsari and Surat. They came to Yorkshire, obviously, working there. Then we moved to Preston, early 70s. And I moved to Leicester, basically.
Of course you did.
Leicester got me instead. Do you know what I mean? But yes.
Sorry, can I just ask where in Yorkshire? Because I'm from Yorkshire as well.
Batley and Dewsbury.
I'm from Batley as well.
There we go. We're making connections all the time here.
I think that was the central hub, wasn't it? Everybody either came to Yorkshire or Midlands in the early days. So obviously Dad was working long shifts, trying to set the family up and everything. His brothers were here, basically. And the rest is history, basically. I've been to India about 3-4 times as a young child. Loved it, absolutely loved it, because the amount of freedom that you had there was unbelievable. Dad took me once when I was naughty, you know what I mean, to back in the days, they used to take you abroad as well, if you were naughty, just to calm you down and all that sort of thing as well. But you know what, I've got to say, it was absolutely fantastic. The pleasure is both my elder two kids, my son and my daughter, they had the privilege of going to India as well. They both speak Gujarati fluently. The younger two, I think they understand it, but I call them coconuts because I think the younger generation, I think they do understand it. But
controversial.
Well, no, listen, I'm going to say as it is, but I think the kids do understand it, but I think we're going to lose that touch eventually in the next generation of youngsters.
Yeah, okay. Apologise if you were offended by Ahmed's remark there. No, I mean, I think interesting. So, Habeebah, you mentioned you've never been to India. Now, like yourself, I had never been to India until sort of almost 3 years ago. And because my parents are East African and we don't have any relatives in India, I didn't feel a sense of connection to India. And I think this is something which I then sort of not struggled with, but I felt like, where do we belong as a community? because we're born here, so we're not necessarily fully accepted here. We're not necessarily accepted because I remember growing up, with the East African influence, and they were like, "Oh, look, he's the British kid. Yeah, here he is." And there's that kind of comment or approach to you, and you then go back to Africa and they don't really sort of accept you. And then I went back to India and, it's like Indians have this sort of inbuilt radar. They know exactly where you're from, or they know that you're not local, and they get really fascinated and intrigued by that. So do you have any plans to go to India at some point, Habeebah? Or do you still have,
no,
relatives
I do.
there?
I've got family there. So grandparents are not there anymore. Obviously, they've passed on, but I've got an aunt there and I've got cousins there. So it's always been on the radar to go. But it's never been like the ideal time for me to go. Because myself and my husband, we both work in schools, and they say the best time to go is December time. And every the past few years, every December, there's always been something up. And after, and it's just because, and now our families tell us that you can't go for 2 weeks, you need longer, it's the first time you're going, you've got to make sure you visit everywhere and you go and see everybody and you learn everything. And so with that in mind, we're thinking like, when is that time going to come and we do have the chance? But I think now we're just going to have to just go in that 2 weeks and go, because sadly, like you said, we and like Ahmed said as well, we are going to lose our roots. And I do agree with him. I think the coming generation, they're not going to have any touch left with our roots, not even language, identity. And I think it's really important that we do hold on to that. Speaking of our mother tongue, what would we say our mother tongue is? Is it Gujarati? Is it English?
I think for the new generation, it's English.
It's a difficult one.
I think you're right. Yeah. So really, really important. So folks, you're listening to Ramadan Radio, 87.9 FM. Get in touch with us. We're on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, you name it. Drop me a text on 077 488 55055, or you can call the studio direct on 0116 482 2086. We've got some comments coming in on our Facebook page, ramadan.fm. Check it out on Facebook. We've got Imtiaz Chaudhry saying, Salaam alaikum, listening in Leicester. Wa alaikum salam to you, Imtiaz. Hope you're enjoying the program. Drop us a comment or a question in the chat function. And your friend and my friend, Imran Govaria, salams, Irfan and Ahmed. Wa alaikum salam, Imran. So we're here on the Community Takeover Show. We've got members of the Gujarati community here in Leicester, very prominent members, might I add. We have Habeebah Patel, who is an educator working in a college in Leicester, and we have Ahmed Maravia. Ahmed, was Ahmedabad named after you?
I think it might have been.
I think it might have been as well. Yeah, I think you're right. Ahmed Maravia is here with us, talking all the what is great and good about being a Guji or a Gujarati, which is more commonly known. Amongst
GMP, Guji and Proud.
Guji and Proud. Okay. So Habeebah, I know you've got to rush off in a few minutes, so we've got about 3 minutes before we go into the break. I'd like to ask you what it means to you personally about coming from the Gujarati community, and do you feel a very special sense of pride, and what are the I suppose, so last year when we had the Community Takeover Show, there was a question you're Gujarati if, and then you say what it is. So, so just tell me what it means to you, and you're Gujarati if that's okay.
I think you're Gujarati if you love your curry khichdi. You've got to have that one.
Hey, there it is, curry khichdi, everyone. So, okay, listen, for those of us who don't know, what exactly is curry khichdi?
It's yellow rice with lentils in, and that's the khichdi, and the curry is made with yogurt and green spices.
Oh, you know what? Because
you've got to have all your bits on your side, your bhaji and your spiced potatoes or fried fish. Or sorry if I'm making this hard for those that are fasting, but yeah, that's something you have to have once a week.
Yeah. No, I mean, so that's interesting because we call that yellow rice and lentils buni khichdi. So we call it buni khichdi.
I've never heard that.
Gujarati curry khichdi, Akil just put a picture on, to make us feel even worse. So yeah, there's curry, which is like a yogurt milky sauce with bay leaf and clove and all those good spices, and it's very much a comfort food dish, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's cold here in England in winter. And it's you have that, but we have a comment coming in from the Community Football Academy saying, "Nah, it's all about the dar chawal." Is that right? What are we starting a bit of on a Friday? Is it dar chawal on a Friday?
Yeah, Fridays is usually dal chawal or curry khichdi. But I think one thing I've got to say with the kids in the family, doesn't matter how British they are, they love the curry khichdi.
Okay, and
especially my moms.
Okay, so curry khichdi, guys. So phone us or give us some comments about whether it's dal chawal or curry khichdi. Let's have a little poll going until 1 o'clock. See which one comes out on top. We've got about a minute and a half left, Habeebah, and I know you got to rush off. So,
I think I'd like to say another thing about our community is how close knit we are.
Yes.
So, anything that happens in the community, we're always there together for each other.
Mm-hmm.
hospitality, kindness, whether it's weddings or funerals or anything in the neighborhood. I remember as a child, growing up, I don't know if Ahmed remembers, Batley was like, doors are open and anybody, you can just walk in anytime, no need to knock, or doors open for everybody. And it's until my dad passed away 2 years ago, and until he passed away, my dad would refuse to have the door locked in the house, even though we'd say to him that in this day and age, you can't have that anymore. And he goes, no, my door's open to everybody. Anybody that wants to walk in, it's open, and food was always ready at my parents' house. Doesn't matter. We'd go down and we look at the size of the pot she's cooked, and we're thinking, Mom, that's not going to be enough. No, you don't say that. Everybody will eat from it. It doesn't matter. Anybody that walks through the door, come and join us. There's food ready. Sit down to eat.
Listen, Habeebah, the time is against us. Jazakumullah khair for joining us. Have a fantastic Ramadan. Remember us in your du'as, and thank you again for joining the show. So, folks, stay tuned. It is Ramadan.fm. We'll be back with more after this break. It is the Community Takeover Show. It's me, Irfan Rajani. Yes, I'm back again, as they would say. You know, all the mandem saying I'm back again.
Mandem,
and we're doing a Community Takeover Show, and we're looking in particular this week at the Gujarati community. So if you want to take part, and I would love it if you can take part and get involved, drop me a text on 0774 888. So let me start again. 077 488 55055 is the text line. 0116 482 2086 if you'd like to say salam to me and my very special guest Ahmed Maravia from CFA. Welcome back, Ahmed. How are you?
Walaikum salam, Irfan. You okay?
Yeah, very good.
We've had talking about food, you know.
I know. So we took it.
It all comes down to food.
That's I think that's what defines us in the majority. We had Sister Habeebah Patel on, and we were talking about sort of food before the break, and we were starting a little poll: curry khichdi versus dar chawal.
But then somebody's put something else in the spanner, in the mixer.
Okay, so we've had a text come in. Salams, Irfan and Ahmed. Great topic you have on today. You know you're Gujarati when there is yellow cake in the house.
Come on.
What is common? Tell us a bit about common.
It's that soft little spongy.
Is it a bit savoury?
Yes, it is savoury.
It's a bit savoury, isn't it? Common.
And that's from Big Bass.
Big Bass from CFA. And Yusera before the break texted saying that curry khichdi wins every time, all the time. So
I agree with that.
I think, we're seeing a definitely a thing for curry khichdi here. So curry khichdi is that the yellow rice stewed with lentils, and you top it off with a milky sauce called curry, which is made with yogurt and milk.
And then you can have a nice little sleep after that.
Here we go. So, right, welcome back. So, the Gujarati community would love to hear from you. Leicester, as we know, we have a big Gujarati community. Imran is asking me, Irfan, are you Guji? Technically, I am Gujarati, but I don't speak Gujarati. So, we come from a place called Bhuj in Kutch. So Kutch is another province within the big state of Gujarat.
It's on the border, isn't it?
It's on the border, so it's not far from the coast. So Kutch is, I suppose, a variation on Gujarati. So there are words that are very, very similar. So, for example, if in Gujarati you would say kemcho, majama. In Kutchi we would say kiyo. Kiyo, tika.
So you're just stretching it then, basically.
Yeah, you stretch it. So Kutchi is a bit more of a hybrid language. So it takes bits of Gujarati, it takes bits of Punjabi, it takes bits of Sindhi, it takes bits of Swahili, it takes bits of Arabic, it takes bits of lots of things.
So you just got the leftovers then, did you?
Hybrid, Ahmed, not leftovers, hybrid.
I'll call it leftovers.
Yeah, exactly. So we're taking Gujarati and we're evolving it. Yeah, we're improving it.
Oh, is that what
okay.
it is? Yeah.
I'm just joking. Please don't follow.
We'll open a can of worms there.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. Zain Moti is saying, I'm thinking of a mouth-watering edible sponge called dokra. Now, Leicester has probably the best. So, just going back a bit, in Gujarat, the cuisine is majority vegetarian. Yes. Obviously, with the majority Hindu population are vegetarian, and in Leicester we have some great sweet shops that do vegetarian snacks and dishes. And whilst they are delicious, oh my God, they are bad for your health. I mean, my missus, she loves the Sunday gatia, jalebi, marcha, sambaro, all that stuff. Yeah, so she's buzzed, and there he is. So
there he goes.
But
Akil's on it.
Very, very distinct snacks. So we have dokra, which is like another sponge type dish, which is cooked and very, very flavorful, savory, and you normally dip it in to like a green chutney,
sauce, yeah.
or what we call amli chutney, tamarind sauce. And Akil is mouthwater. I can see it from here. And Zain is saying, I thought Friday was Halim Day. Well, not if you're Gujarati. So it's either dar chawal or curry khichdi. Before we talk a bit more about sort of Gujarati culture, lifestyle and influence, I found another interesting fact, is that the founder of Pakistan and the first governor of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, was from Rajkot, which is in Gujarat. So I did not know that. Yes. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, actually. I do like my history. But yes.
You do. So big up all the Gujarati Pakistanis, yes. Out there.
One of the forefathers.
One of the forefathers. So Ahmed, now coming back to being a British Gujarati person, now you do a lot of work in the community through the football academy, and I just want to sort of get your take, your input on the number of years that you've been doing the community football academy. I know it's been quite many years. And as a Gujarati person yourself, what would you say have been what's your observation on, I suppose, cultural life within here Oh, okay. Well, we'll come back to that. We've got a caller in. So I understand we've got Imran Goveria on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Imran. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you? Welcome, salam.
How are you?
I guess I've got to start.
Go on.
I want to start by saying, Meow. Is that right?
What's
Is that how you say it?
Quiñeño. Quiñeño. No, it's not that. It's quiñeños. That's how you say how are you in Kachi. But listen, this is mainly a Gujarati speaking community takeover. So we'll do the Kachis another time. But how are you, first of all?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Very good. And we're glad you called in. So what is it you would like to say, or do you have a question for Ahmed in the studio?
Yeah, I want to ask Ahmed a question.
Go on.
Being a Gujarati community,
Yes.
Obviously, I know you guys are talking about food and stuff like that. I'm not even going to touch on the food stuff yet. But I know one of the ladies before said, we're a close-knit community, everyone knows everyone. But is that sometimes a good thing or is that a bad thing? I mean, I like to call them curtain twitchers. I want to hear your side of what you think is good and bad of that.
Okay, so I think what Imran is asking is,
is it good to be a close-knit community or not? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think what Imran's trying to say is that, being close-knit has its advantages, i.e. there's a great support network, but it can also work against you because there's a desire to know what everyone is up to. Is that right, Imran?
I do agree. I do agree with you, Imran. It's got its advantages. It's got its disadvantages as well. Yes, in your time of need, everyone's there for you, which is quite good. It could be anything, you know what I mean? But you could also be a part of the gossip monging thing as well, basically. So yeah, isn't that with every community?
I think that's with every community.
I think that's with every community. I think it's a bit more in Leicester because everybody knows everybody. That's one thing, and today's news, tomorrow's gossip. But I think people thrive on that.
I think you're right, and I think also that coming from the Asian subcontinent or from East Africa or wherever it is. Some of those cultural elements are still present in British life today and what we have here. It's just a case of, I think, it's down to the individual rather than saying that is a trait of the Gujarati community or the Kutchi community or the Punjabi community, whatever it might be. But yeah, I think sometimes there... if you take certain areas of Leicester, for example, Highfields, where the masajid are in Highfields, sort of Berners Street, that kind of area, Hartington Road. It is very, very close knit, and not being from that community, people ask me. So when I used to be there and I used to work in that area, people, obviously they didn't recognize me, or so instantly they would ask me, "Oh, who are you? What's your name? What's your dad's name? Where are you from?"
It all comes down to your dad's name, doesn't it?
Which town are you from? Okay, do you know this person? Do you know that person? I've thought to myself, wow, I've never encountered that. But it's for them, it's really important to know because they think, okay, I don't know this person. I need to kind of sort of like verify him or something.
But then isn't that another way of welcoming that person as well?
Perhaps, yes.
On the flip side...
Or would you say they're just being nosy?
Well, a bit of both. I think a bit of both. Welcoming somebody and being nosy as well because you want to know who the new kid on the block is or the new kid on the family is in the area.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got another text coming, gents. We've got Fazila Muhammad who is text saying, this is a top four, I think, top four dishes.
Dar chawal.
So Dar chawal is come out on top and it's a strong number one there. Followed closely by naan gosh, and then curry khichdi's third, which might be surprising to a lot of you.
And then you've got Halim
and then
Halim
there in the relegation zone. Yeah, Halim propping up the table.
It was always going to be dal chawal anyway.
Definitely.
I don't even know why you're even having this conversation.
Okay, you know what? So on a serious note, Imran, while we've got you on the line, do you need to go?
Yeah.
Do you need to, Imran, you okay to stay on the line for a minute?
No. I've got one more question I want to ask, but you carry on. Yeah, go on.
No. Let's have your question first.
Okay. Me. Identifying my roots is really important, and that's something that I want to kind of pass on to my children as well. Understanding where my father came from, where my grandfather came from, understanding all of that. Now, Ahmed, I know, obviously, with Community Football Academy, which we're a part of, is it important as the coaches to kind of have that in the mindset of the children that come into those doors of CFA? To get them to understand who we are and what we are, because I know we have quite a variety of kids that come through the doors. Is there something in place at CFA where we kind of still instill that idea of where we come from?
I think it's a good subject you touched on. I think it is quite nice to know what your DNA is and where you come from. Obviously, kids will say we're British. We know where our forefathers and fathers came from. It is nice to do something with the younger generation, especially this generation of youngsters. Obviously, during lockdown and this pandemic, you can't do much. But yeah, I think that's a good thing that you've touched on. It is it would be nice to do something with the younger generation and see where the roots are originally from, because I mean they'll probably think, oh no, my dad's from the UK, was born in England, but where was my grandfather from? Where was his father from? It'd be nice to go back a couple of generations and let them know the struggles that their grandfathers went through, basically, like our fathers went through, because I mean, we've got it literally handed on a plate now, because the struggle they went through, what they experienced in this country, growing up, working, the racism, and all they wanted to do was to set the family up, basically. And I think not just with the Gujarati community, it was with all the communities, whether you were from Africa, from the subcontinent, or wherever you were from. So it'd be nice for them to know what the roots and the struggles were for that generation to stand where they are today.
Okay, so we've had some text coming in. So it comes across as being nosy to us, the young generation born in the UK, but really our old folk are used to village life, and that level of probing connections is quite normal. So I don't know who that is, but thanks for that comment. And we had another comment as well from Ahmed Ali, a very good friend of mine. Salam Irfan, doing a great job as always. Thank you very much. Saying the BBC is going to be knocking on your door. Well, if the BBC is listening, please give me a call or call my agent on. No, I'm just joking.
Sorry,
Ahmed,
no, he's taken by Ramadan Radio.
And Ahmed is just a legend, has been serving the community with dedication and commitment. Yes, I would like to actually make a very special point to that. Ahmed is very much a selfless community advocate, I think is probably the best way to describe you, and along with Imran and the team there. I think what I've seen is your dedication to enhancing and improving our youngsters' lives, not through just sports, but making sure that they make good life choices and empowering them to make the most of their talents and abilities, whatever that might be. So thank you very much for both. Some more comments coming in on Facebook. Please don't pick on Highfields. You can take the boy out of Highfields, but you can't take Highfield out of the boy. That is Abu Ishaq. Jazakumullah khair, Abu Ishaq, for that question. Gov, final thought from you, please.
No, I think you're doing an amazing job. It's good to see your face again, really. Fun of not seeing you for a while.
I know. And I'm looking forward to sort of get together with everybody from CFA very, very soon. I have missed you guys. Gov, very quickly, while you're on, just tell us in 10 seconds what the charity is that CFA is supporting this year.
Okay, so as people may have seen, we did a charity event last year for the neonatal unit at General Hospital, where we rode a bicycle from Leicester to London. We're continuing our story. This year, we're going to be riding from London, Trafalgar Square, to Paris, which is 300 miles, and we have set ourselves a time of 48 hours to do that challenge. And we're going to be raising money this year for Mental Health Awareness UK.
Gov, can I just ask you a quick question? Can you just
say something in
Gujarati, please? Can you just say what you just said quickly in Gujarati
keep
about the bike? Yeah, keep it clean about the bike.
Okay, I'm going to try this.
Please.
Last year, Après bicycle થી Leicester થી London ગયા હતા. Neonatal unit દેખે. આ વર્ષ આપણે London to Paris bicycle કરશું. 300 miles in 48 hours. Sorry, I'm a hybrid myself.
Don't worry, you're doing a good job. That's a grand job, that is.
And that's my posh Gujarati as well.
Okay.
You don't want to hear my bad bit.
So Imran bhai, Allah tame barakat ape. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ameen.
Allah tame barakat ape and give you lots of success. So Jazakallah for joining us, Imran. Go on.
On a serious note, we need full support out there for this year's charity.
Okay,
so we will be promoting it after Ramadan, inshallah.
Okay,
but thank you guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Enjoy the rest of your
Remember
day.
us in your duas and have a great rest of the Ramadan. And tune in every week and support Radio Ramadan FM.
Every day.
Okay, that was Imran Gaviria from CFA joining us still on the phone. We've got 5 minutes left of the show, folks, so let's talk a bit more with Ahmed Maravia. And just to clarify, Ahmedabad was not named after him.
I thought it was.
Well, there's lots of great Ahmeds out there, and you're right up there. So we're talking about the Gujarati community. So Ahmed, again, let's talk about sort of a bit more about the lifestyle. Is there something specific that Gujaratis do that you haven't really come across in other communities?
No, I think everybody's got their own little special tradition and everything. I think everybody's unique in their own way. I wouldn't like to say...
But what makes the Gujaratis unique? So I take your point, but because we're talking about the Gujarati, is there something that, you could say, right, from what I've seen, I can tell this person is a Gujarati?
Panchat. Gossip.
Okay. All right. Let's flip it. Let's give something a bit more positive.
God, I think they're proud people. I think Gujaratis are quite proud.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think in Leicester, it goes without saying that the Gujarati community has done a lot for the Deen.
Definitely.
I mean, if you look at some of the most prominent masajid here in Leicester, the likes of Jamia Masjid, the likes of IDA, Markas, Masjid Omar, Sutherland Street, all of those roots and all of those founding people and foundations have been laid by, mainly Gujarati people. I think
the Maktab system was done by the Gujarati people, especially in Leicester and even outside of Leicester as well. I think I'd probably say 75% was done by Gujarati people.
Yeah, and I think that's something which, wherever you put a Gujarati person on this planet, I think one of the main priorities is to establish a structure for Islam, or to establish, things. And I think,
Just have the basics in place. I think that's the most important.
Having those fun, and again, making that connection back to their identity. Sister Habeebah Patel touched on hospitality. Now that's something, again, I think all communities from the Asian subcontinent are known for, and especially if you speak to if you speak to my non-Indian or non-Asian friends, they will always refer back to, I went to my friend's house who's an Indian or he's a Pakistani, and I wasn't allowed to leave until I had a meal, and that's something which I think we should really be proud of, and we should impart to our children, and we should continue that. Whoever comes to your house,
welcome them with open arms.
Welcome them with open arms. Make sure that they're looked after, and of course that relates in Islam as well. Be hospitable to whoever comes to your house for a certain period of time.
Definitely.
The Prophet ﷺ was known for his generosity and his hospitality, and that's something which I think we should be proud of.
No, I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree with you. Welcome everybody with open arms, regardless of who that person he or she is, basically. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is quite, that is something that Islam teaches us as well. This comes back down to our Prophet's days and everything, and it states in Islam as well. Welcome everybody and respect everybody with open and equal.
And I think that's the key point, is that whichever community you're from, the fundamental core of that community for us Muslims should be Islam. So Islam should be there. And, what we're not trying to do here on this is talk about sort of, elements of like nationalism or tribalism things.
No.
It's about recognizing, okay, this community is great. What makes it so great? And what can we learn about the community to allow us to, I suppose, interact better together?
I think with Leicester, I think the good beauty of Leicester, as our old MK says, Leicester Sharif or whatever, I think the beauty of Leicester is everybody's got their own little things that they bring to the city of Leicester, basically, whether you're Gujarati, Pakistani, Mem, whichever community you're from.
Oh, there you go. I think that's your missus making sure that you're on your way home with the shopping.
And I think that's the beauty of it, basically, that everybody has played a part in building Leicester, whether you're from the Gujarati or whatever community you're from, and I think that's the beauty of Leicester. And you can't take that away compared to other cities.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, Ahmed.
Always a pleasure.
Would you like to say something in Gujarati to our listeners and to wrap up? Go on. Okay, just a couple of phrases. Come on. Don't want to put you on the spot.
Okay, what phrase would you like me to say?
Just say thank you very much for listening. Okay.
No, you really put me on
just say
the spot.
Thank you then. Just say thank you. Then.
First, but I'm going to try and say this as best as I can. Aki was laughing his head off at the back of me. And was this what you brought me in for?
Yeah.
Just to make it right. Okay. Pehli baat se ne badane jazakallah tame a show ne habairu ne Ramzan Mubarak bhi tame badane safe karjo. आपके बाढ़ से ना पेलो पैंडेमिक quite serious है COVID-19 तो खसु अपने से ना safe रहे वानो साथले
ध्यान रखवानो
yeah
ध्यान
my Gujarati is not brilliant but
listen brilliant
all right it's not the best
and we've got to wrap it up there. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in. It's great to be back. Inshallah we'll be back next week with another community takeover. Stay safe. Assalamu alaikum.